Hello friends, I am being pressurized by my younger brother Prashant first to have eye contact, which is actually a very difficult job for me. And then he has insisted that you should first explain the concept of the subject which you are about to speak. I said, okay, Prashant, I'll try. So that is what I am trying. Actually, everybody in India, particularly if he is interested in spirituality, must have come across Lord Rajneesh, Bhagwan Rajneesh. He is one of the most wonderful persons who has taken birth on the land of India. A great genius, a person with highest level of courage and clarity. So one of his work is always read by many people. Some call it controversial, some call it right. Few follow him, few don't follow him. Society as such doesn't follow him. Not because that Rajneesh is wrong. It is because that society has not developed its capacity to think and digest the ideas which are bigger than life. What Rajneesh has told is bigger than life. He has tried to free you absolutely from the clutches of all those nonsense things which people think. And still he is not finding any acceptability. Vivekananda was Vivekananda and he was not finding any universal acceptability as long as he was in India. And when he stormed the Europe, and particularly America, then every Indian was out there to greet him, to cheer him, to pray him and whatnot. How wonderful idiots we are. Rajneesh talked about sexuality, thought about sexuality and found it a way of self-realization, which is very correct. Not only to that extent, but let me tell you what he did was, he established a positive cycle in all the minds, all the disciples who used to come to him. And the negative cycle of greed or lust or whatever, he gave a vent off from the minds of everybody who was about to follow him. So he came with a conclusion of sexuality and sexuality along with satsanga and meditation. And this is a very good idea. So in order to understand his concepts, you can really read him, find out what he has to say or what he has to offer. I believe that the understanding of Indian thinking is never completed unless until you read Vivekananda, unless until you read Rajneesh, unless until you read J. Krishnamurti, unless until you read Raman Gita, unless until you read Srimad Bhagavad Gita, etc. Most of your time you people spend is in the learning of Puranas and listening of Puranas. Yesterday I said there are 18 Puranas, and in the body there are Panch Tattvas, 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas, total 15. Then the mind, intellect and ego, total 18. These are the Puranas. Why we call them Puranas? Because they are Puratan, old. They are with us since a very long time through different births. But they never talk of the Jeev who is to be benefited, who has to realize, and Puranas never talk of Brahma, the one who will relieve you of all your miseries. So the entire thinking of the Puranas, as far as I understood, was not about emancipation, but about glorification of deities and taking people away towards Bhakti Yoga, the first step of Bhakti Yoga, so that people start praying the God in as many forms, in as rich form as possible for them. But there actually I want to add one more point. What Rajneesh tried to achieve through that method is also achievable through several methods. I have had very little experience of sexuality. In fact, in last 23 years, I have been, I have had sexual interactions only 3 times. What I did, I started from love and devotion for my master because my heart could immediately recognize when I saw for the first time to him that he is the master. He is my Sadguru. He will take me to those heights and depths which I am longing for as a representative of entire humanity. So, from the moment onwards when I met him for the first time to till date, I still remind about him. A girl sometimes approached me for marriage. It was some times ago, I really don't remember. So I said, you cannot handle me, the problem is this. Then she said, why? Then I said, you are quite young and your sexual desire is much more than that. I can help you because now over a long period of time I have been meditating and I think my sexual drive has lessened and lessened and lessened to the extent that I have had only 3 intercourses in the last 23 years without any failure in my other commitments. So what Rajneesh has tried to achieve, it is not that it cannot be achieved through traditional methods. What I have found is that there are a lot of new gurus introducing new sadhanas, and some of them are very right also. And there is a great scope of experimenting in Indian Hindu view of thinking. Great scope of experimenting. As many heads, as many religions. Lord Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya says, Shubh Satya Sanatana Dharma Vahi Jisme Mat Bandhan Ki Tek Nahi. आप सुझाओ, सत्संग करो, गुरु की बातों को श्रवण करो, उनको मन में धारण करो और उस चीज को आप किस तरह से समझ पाते हो, देख पाते हो, ये आपको निर्धारित करना है. Guru will not guide you every minute and second. Gurus are those who talk of concepts and ideas of life. And then you have to follow it and you have to find it and you have to prove it for yourself. So, the established methods of Nath Brahma Kriya, the Pranayam, the Jap, they are still valid, about which Shri Krishna has talked in quite length in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I see persons who used to pay for getting the spiritual knowledge. In my humblest of thinking, it is a wrong tradition. और जहाँ पर कुछ लेना देना होता है वहाँ कुछ मिलता नहीं. ये बात मेरी है भी और मेरी नहीं भी है. उसका कारण ये है कि कुछ समय पहले तक हमारे क्षेत्र में स्वामी सच्चिदानंद सरस्वती करके एक जीनियस रहते थे आश्रम भवन पे, अकेले ही रहते थे. But he was absolutely clear about the entire spirituality. He was MA in philosophy from Allahabad University in 1943 and he was taken away to Mauritius by none other than Dr. Shiv Sagar Ram Gulam, who was the then president of Mauritius. He stayed in Mauritius for some time and then he fled away to Mauritius and came back to India. And it was my fortune that I could interact with him because he came back not only to India but to a place which is quite close to my own residential area. He never talked of sexuality to that length. But then I found a person called Suren Sharma and he had cleared all the stages. Indian thinking, Hindu view of thinking, the view of Vedanta thinking doesn't disapprove if you are involved. Rajneesh has added what is one more chapter to it. If you are not out of it, if you are not out of your sexual wishes and desires, then the better is that you go for it. At the same time, the positive cycle that he said was that of meditation. Then you think over what you are doing and who you are. Slowly you will find refinement in your mind and intellect. And later on you will become smaller and smaller enough to experience the ultimate. So don't copy. What Swami Vivekananda did was not to copy. Experiment. He understood Ramakrishna Paramahansa as well as possible. He heard to his thoughts, ideas, and then he completely defined it in new way when he went to Chicago. There he spoke on science also. And then he compared, there are so many things which he did, because he commented on Darwin's theory of evolution, he commented on the German philosopher Schopenhauer, and so many other things. The thing is, you just start. If you cannot afford the money to go to the ashram of Rajneesh, or cannot afford to pay the money for doing sadhana that some gurus charges, you take a clue from anywhere, wherever you can get, or at least start reading Ramayana and Gita. And even if that is not possible, then at least start reading Ramayana. And that will also lead you to someday, if you are with devotion, if you are with belief, if you are with surrendering, then you will get the same while reading Ramayana. Of course, the ways and methods will be different. But it is my clear-cut not only belief and motion, but it is an observation and it is true. What is true? That even if you read Ramayana for some time, it automatically happens that you tend to go to the higher level. And probably if you continue to do so, that you will reach to a master, a guru who has realized the Brahma. And therefrom an entire new journey would begin for your mind. Please don't waste yourself in becoming IAS, IPS and IFS. Complete wastage of human mind and talent. Don't waste in becoming useless businessmen. If you are really doing business, do the business as Tatas do. That is helpful to country also. And they are making their empire. I am very happy that Tatas have acquired Jaguar. This is a victory for Indians. I am very happy with the Tatas are doing, Ambanis are doing. In this country, we will find a place for living even for those who are not rich. But then we will work so that those brethren of ours can reach to that level where they can lead their life happily, for which economical transformation as well as spiritual transformation, both are required. I have never said, but I always dedicate all my talkings to my Guru, Param Shri Charan, Swami Nityanand, Manasmani, Bade Swami. Everything, every effort and life of mine is dedicated to his lotus feet. That's all. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.